Hello everyone, welcome to Dominions 5. My name's Mew. This time around I'm going to be playing a multiplayer game set in the early age. Bit of a change. And I'm going to be playing the nation of Niflheim. Never played Nifl before. They are a giant nation, again. And they are a water, death, nature and blood nation. With a little bit of astral in there as well to round it out. Seem pretty cool. I thought I'd pick them for two reasons. First is because I've had some luck with giant nations recently, so why not? We did okay with Ashdod, and we did okay with Flagra. And also because by the time these videos start going up, I imagine it'll be the middle of winter. Might be right around Christmas time, so... Nifl seems like an appropriate nation. They are the frost giants. Very heavily kind of ice and snow themed. So why not? We'll give them a shot. This is going to be a very slightly modded game as usual. It's running the JBBM balance mod, which is standard in all the games played on the Ruby Discord. And it's also going to be running, fittingly enough, a mod called snow.dm. And what snow.dm does, very simply, is it gives every single unit in the game snow movement. That should have some fun effects. Mostly, people might actually take cold scales, since people don't like taking cold scales. Which will be pretty good for Niflheim, so... that might help us if we actually have some opponents who actually have cold scales. On the other hand, people will be able to move through our cold dominion as well, because they'll all have snow movement, but yeah, swings and roundabouts. Anyway, since it's a JBBM game, JBBM makes a number of small changes throughout the game to scales and units and stuff like that. There are three big changes to Niflheim in this mod. The first is that my units are now fire vulnerable instead of shock vulnerable. I'm pretty sure the amount of vulnerability is the same, it's just been switched from shock vuln to fire vuln. That's one change. Second change is that all of Nifl's giants in this mod have lost 2 defense. So we are slightly less defensive, I guess. And the final change to Nifl in this mod is that all of my giants require giant leadership. So I can only lead my troops with leaders of size 4 or more. Other than that, it's the same though. So it'll still be the same Nifl that you know and love from vanilla Dominions. This is the pretender I chose to go with. Community sent a bulletin board, the Idol of Men. I went back and forth over this pretender design quite a number of times, but in the end, I settled on spelling center the British way. So there we go. The god itself, pretty straightforward. Regen, always good on Sacred Giants. And I wanted quite a bit of fire resistance because obviously in this mod we have fire vulnerability, not shock vulnerability. If we still just had the shock vulnerability, it would be even easier to build this god because I wouldn't need so much fire resistance. And since the Idol of Men starts with air instead of earth, you could just take the shock resist bless with the air instead. But I put 5 points into earth to get fire and shock. That gives us 10 fire resist and 10 shock resist. And then 5 fire to get heat aura, which also has another 10 fire resist bundled with it. So our sacred giants will have the chill aura that they naturally have, and they'll have the heat aura as well, along with 20 fire resist, will be reduced slightly by the vulnerability, 10 shock resist on top, and then regen. That should be pretty good. I was playing around with some other designs for pretenders, particularly where scales were involved. I was trying one where the god was actually imprisoned. This one's dormant. Trying one where the god was imprisoned. And that allows you to take Order 3, Productivity 3 and Growth 3, which is pretty cool. But I ended up going dormant because this game was going to be played on a map called Twee. And if anyone's played on Twee before, they'll know it's pretty cramped. So I thought it'd be better to get a dormant god. Dormant's probably better anyway. I mean, taking a big bless and then having it be imprisoned and possibly not waking up until year 3.5 is probably usually bad. But in particular, if you're playing on a cramped map, you probably want to wake up sooner rather than later and have your bless kick in. That ended up being completely irrelevant though, because the person who hosted the game ended up choosing the wrong map, and it's not on Twee, it's on some other map, so there we go. But I still think this is probably a better build anyway. Dominion 6 is what I could afford with the bless. Wanted some good scales. You could argue that growth is better than productivity, maybe. But again, because I thought this was going to be on a cramped map, productivity would give you more income earlier than growth would, so that's why I went with the productivity. We don't really need recruitment points that much from Order, to be honest. When I was testing things out, I was more often than not, the reason that I would be bottlenecked on recruitment was because of either resources or just income, but never really recruitment points. So out of the three, order was the one that I prioritized the least. And then to pay for things, I drop luck and I drop drain. As usual, I always say we should be able to catch up on research. We are a death nation, so we can forge death boosters. And maybe our giants could forge air boosters as well. Death research boosters and research boosters. Maybe. We'll see. But usually I end games massively far behind on research, and you know what? Never usually matters. So why not? We'll just dump a few points of drain. That's it, really. That's the nation. That's the god. Looking forward to it. Hopefully it's fun. The game currently is in turn 5, which is why I know that the map was wrong. But I just thought I'd record this now and get it uploaded. And yeah, I'll if the game progresses smoothly, I guess these videos will start going live around about Christmas Day. So Merry Christmas if you celebrate that. And yeah, I'll put turn 1 to 5 up next and go check it out. Oh, one other thing to mention, I'll just mention it once briefly, is I do have a Patreon, so if you do enjoy this series, if you watch it and you'd like to support me and the channel, consider checking that out. And thanks to those people who are already Patreoning me. I think that's everything. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on turn 1.